That Logan trailer looks like this snicked, and it's showing us a side of the X-Men universe that we've never seen before, so let's break it down on today's Nerdist News. So here we are, folks. After a nearly 2-decade run as our favorite knucklehead, Hugh Jackman is hanging up the adamantium claws for good with one final outing as the Wolverine, and holy effing crap, does it look like he's doing it in style. Now, the first trailer for Logan dropped yesterday, and it has blown our fragile little minds. Scored to the super on the nose, but still really emotional Hurt by Johnny Cash, the footage looked like some kind of beautiful hybrid of a lonesome western, a Mad Max-esque post-apocalyptic thriller, and, well, honestly, The Last of Us. In other words, it looks like no superhero movie ever has before, especially every other X-Men movie to date. But we have so many questions. Which of the 11 teen X-Men timelines is this set in? How did Logan wind up palling around with Professor X and Caliban of all people? Is Hugh Jackman really going to wrap up his Wolverine career without yelling, "Morph!" Let's get into it and see if we can't figure it out. First, let's talk about Logan's setting. We've heard that this is farther in the future than any X-flick we've seen before, which is crazy, since the last time we saw a futuristic X-Men movie, it had neon prison camps lorded over by giant flying robots. Yep, this is even further into the future than Days of Future Past's dystopia. But is this the future of the Wolverine that ran off into the forest at the end of X-Men Apocalypse? Or is this the future of the Wolverine who redacted the Days of Future Past timeline to return to a version of the Last Stand timeline where the Last Stand never actually happened? Or is this a totally separate what-if timeline that isn't connected to either? Oh my god, am I getting a nosebleed? Oh, those are just boogies. Luckily, director James Mangold cleared all of this business up, confirming that Logan sits at the end of the timeline that we saw restored at the end of Days of Future Past. So yeah, the original X-Men movie timeline, but if The Last Stand and the Wolverine never happened, I think. Don't even know what I just said. So it seems like all of the mutants have been dying off, which is a bummer since Logan finally brought Jean Grey back from the dead, and as we hear him explain this in the trailer to a senile Professor X, we see Logan standing outside of a funeral chugging a bottle of whiskey. Whose funeral? Well, we're guessing that the last of the original X-Men, though it feels too obvious for it to be Jean Grey, so perhaps it's Logan's surrogate daughter / little sister / weird sex fantasy that one time rogue. That would be pretty poignant and serve as a nice setup for Logan's new family dynamic. So on that subject, it looks like the Logan family unit really is the focus of this whole movie, rather than one of those huge sweeping save the world premises that we're used to getting from these kind of flicks. From his downed water tower house in, we're guessing, Mexico based on those police cars, it looks like Wolverine has brought together his mentor, Professor X, his protege, X-23, and we'll talk about her in just a minute, and weirdly enough, Caliban. Now, why they chose to go with Caliban for this flick when he was just played by a totally different actor in X-Men Apocalypse is anyone's guess, but we figure his ability to locate any mutant in the world will come in handy, particularly when tracking down X-23 and helping to draw her into the protective clawed arms of our title hero. Then again, it also seems like he gets taken advantage of at some point as we see Donald Pierce and the cyborg Reavers torturing him inside the water tower, probably forcing him to help them locate the Wolverine fam after they run away in that truck chase. So let's get into this X-23 business. While we'd heard Wolverine would be inspired by Mark Millar's Old Man Logan, it looks like it's really just the general look and vibe that Mangold and company are borrowing. More than anything, this film seems to be focused on Logan redeeming himself by saving his kinda sorta daughter, X-23. See guys, in the comics, X-23 is a clone created by Wolverine's genes to be the ultimate killing machine, and we're guessing that's the case here too, with the villainous Transigen Corporation stealing his DNA to create an army of mutants that they can control. In fact, they were probably behind the disease that wiped out the rest of mutant kind as well. Anyway, one way or another, it looks like X-23 escapes, jumping off of a roof in the process, and makes her way out to Wolverine's water tower. In classic Western movie fashion, he has no interest in taking her under his wing, but it sounds like Professor X himself may have drawn her there to save his old friend's soul. And from the brief snippets of action we see in the trailer, it seems like X-23 has the same berserker rage issues her pseudo-daddy does. We see her hacking and slashing at random, even lunging at Logan himself, who barely stops her with his own adamantium claws, so we're guessing assuming Logan's journey involves helping her move past the darker instincts he's struggled with his whole life to give her a chance at peace and happiness that he never had. Again, getting lots of Last of Us vibes, and we are not complaining about it. And finally, let's talk about the action, which looks next level brutal, especially in the Red Band International trailer, which gives us a gory effects shot that's more horrifying than badass. That seems to be the vibe this whole movie is chasing. The violence isn't fun or cool, it's something painful and dramatic with actual stakes. When Wolverine fights, it leaves him scarred now, his healing factor no longer what it once was, and when he hurts people, he really hurts them. Now this feeling is never more evident than in the trailer's last shot, where a blood-stained X-23 grabs Logan's hand after they seemingly buried someone in the same forest where he was fighting a bunch of Reavers just moments before. If we had to guess, we'd say that's Professor X there under the dirt, which really hammers home the fact that unlike literally every superhero movie that's come before it, this is a drama first and an action movie second. A bold move, and we've got to say, we're really impressed with what Mangold and company are doing here, and with Fox for letting them do it, especially after they hit a huge payday with Deadpool, which is basically the complete and total opposite of what they're serving up with Logan. But what do you guys think? Do you dig this trailer? Do you think we'll meet another villain beyond Donald Pierce and the Reavers? Do you think Wolverine will die at the end of this thing? Because it certainly feels that way. Let's discuss. Woo! It's been one hell of a week! Join us over at Nerdist.com/Twitch today at 3 p.m. live for Nerdist News Talks Back. Plus, it's an all-new episode of Thunderdome. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to keep getting all your Nerdist news.